Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. In just a moment, I am gonna walk my happy butt over to the futon to check out the Netflix original, Lost in Starlight. Lost in Starlight is an animated film that comes to us all the way from South Korea. This film is co-written and directed by Han Ji-won, and it tells the story of a young couple that have to separate because one of them is an astronaut who is about to go on a mission to Mars for quite some time. This looks like it's going to be an absolutely amazing little romantic story, a real feel-good kind of film. And to be perfectly honest, guys, I've really had a week, and I could really use a nice little positive feel-good story, to be perfectly honest. Now, I'm going to go into some stuff that's happening in my personal life here in a moment, and if you don't want to stick around to hear about these things, that's perfectly fine. Feel free to skip ahead in the video to get to the actual review. I'm going to have a little bump set up, a little transition bump or something. You'll notice it, and once you see that, go right ahead and go into the video and get the review. If you want to stick around and hear some things about what's going on in my life, by all means, stick around. Alright, so before I get this started, I'm gonna have a little drink here. Okay, so as time of filming this, it is Friday, May 30th. Earlier this week, on Wednesday, out of the blue, my mom had a blood clot in her lung, and she passed away suddenly. This was unexpected. She wasn't in the hospital, she wasn't sick. It's just something that happens out of the blue. And earlier this week, Memorial Day, I posted a movie review for a movie. It's quite good, by the way, but it's called The Surrender. And the film focuses on a family who's lost the patriarch of their family. And the mother and the daughter are dealing with the loss and the grief of their loved one. And so after spending some time with my dad and my sisters and all after losing our family matriarch, I really did not want to make that my last movie review of the month. And I didn't really want to go out into the movie theaters and all. I don't really feel like being out in some crowds right now. And so luckily I was able to find this film on Netflix, and I watched it, the trailer for this, and it looks really pretty. It looks really nice, and just a cute little story. And to be perfectly honest, I just need that right now, just because, you know, my mom meant the world to me, and she was one of the biggest factors in how this channel even came about. She's always wanted me to try something like this, you know, bet on myself and do a YouTube channel or whatever. She's always enjoyed my work here, and she's also a big film buff. And in fact, most of my love for movies comes from my mom and my grandfather, her father. My mom taught me all about the classic Hollywood films, and she was probably the biggest influence on my horror love. And not because she let me watch Jason or Freddy Krueger or any of that stuff. Mom introduced me to Jaws. She introduced me to Poltergeist and some other films. But at the end of the day, I needed to do this. I needed to keep myself occupied. I needed to keep my brain busy a little bit. I needed a little bit of a distraction. So I'm really glad that I found this film on Netflix, and it looks like, you know, it's going to be a cute little ride, and I'm really hoping it is. Because I could use that right now. So you know what, guys? Thanks for sitting here and listening to me go on about what's going on right now. So you know what, I'm not going to have my little walking around. Honestly, I don't feel like doing a little walking around bit and all that. I didn't want to set up all the equipment and all that crap. So I'm just going to have like a little bumper here, and then I'm going to go. I'll be back here in a moment. But anyways, guys, it's time for me to get over to the futon because it's enough of the jibber jabber. I need to get over there and check out the Netflix original, Lost in Starlight.
A few moments later.
Just getting done watching Lost in Starlight, and guys, yes, this is exactly the feel-good kind of film that I needed to watch. It did have me going there for a minute because the third act of this film does pick up with a little bit more excitement, and for a moment there, things got a little tense, but all in all, this is a very sickly sweet, lovely little romantic film. So let's get this started, shall we? Now, normally I do negatives and positives, but I'm just going to say I don't really have anything negative to say about this movie. I really enjoyed this film, but I could see how this movie would not be some folks' cup of tea. Movies like this, and especially if you watch the trailer, you would think that the sci-fi elements that you see in the trailer are going to play a much bigger role in the film, but in all honesty, it really doesn't. And in fact, there's also a lot of underlying meaning to more analog technology and physical media and things of that sort inside this much more advanced digital world. The movie takes place in, I believe, 2050, so about 25 years from where we are right now. And in all honesty, yeah, a lot of the technology in this film does kind of look like a place that we could be in 25 years from now. So the movie does kind of stay a little bit within the, grounded with reality and all, with the way that the film looks and the way that the technology interacts with people in this. It doesn't go too off the wall. It does get a little more science fiction-y when you get into the third act, but most of this film is pretty familiar in all honesty, and at some points you would completely forget that this is actually set in the future. So if you're somebody who wants an animated film to have a lot more action, you want those sci-fi elements to be a lot more predominant in the film, this film might not be your cup of tea. But if you're somebody who wants to watch a really nice little story with some great elements and a nice little underlying theme to it, then this is definitely going to be a film for you. Because something I like to say, and here in the States, we always look at animation as, for kids and all. And that's always something that's always irked me, because you can still get that really rich storytelling and great characterization in an animated film, because animation is not a genre, it is a medium. It is just another way to tell a story for a film. And in this case, it really uses the elements of animation to its fullest. Let's talk about the positives on this film. The first thing is, yes, that animation. This movie is beautiful. In the scenes where they're in Seoul, Korea, it looks great. Yes, there is some technology and all, and I like the way that a lot of the figures and all, they have kind of a minimalistic look to the character design, with a lot more detail and all drawn into the backgrounds to really make the city and all really come to life. Also, the film goes into some really cool, more surrealistic dream sequences as our characters kind of get into their own head. There's elements of music, and also they work that music into the brightly colored animation in this film. The animation style is hand-drawn. It does look like they blended in beautifully, I might add, some CGI animation into this movie. There's 3D with 2D blending together, and it looks so gorgeous. This movie is colorful, it's very fluid, it is extremely well put together. I was blown away by the animation in this film. In fact, I'm actually going to say a negative, because I would have loved to have seen this movie on the big screen. So just basically a negative in the way that the movie was presented on Netflix and not on a big IMAX theater, because I would have loved to have soaked in all the art in this film. It was gorgeous. Now, I did watch the dubbed version of this film. Normally, yes, I do watch the subtitles, but to be perfectly honest, I didn't feel like I had it in me to sit down and read a film this evening. I just wanted to sit down and take in a nice, cute little movie, which I did, and I highly enjoyed. But the dubbed version of this film is great. I did like the voice acting in this film. I thought that our characters had a lot of charisma together, a lot of chemistry together. You did feel like these two, even though, again, they were animated characters, you really felt like these two were coming together, and you were watching this great romance just unfold in front of our eyes. This film likes to go into some other areas. It doesn't just focus on the romance. It does go into some things of how we have to make certain sacrifices for our partners in order for their happiness to be completely fulfilled. And sometimes in those sacrifices that we make for our partners, we might actually find inspiration to make ourselves better people. And I really enjoyed that this film wasn't just a glossy, humdrum, sickly sweet little romantic tale. It threw in a lot more elements that made me just really enjoy this film. The third act of this movie also does get into a little bit more excitement, and I will say there were some very tense and stressful moments when the third act is going on, and there were some things where I was sitting here watching it going, come on, please, let's come on. I mean, mean, really, I was starting to get so on the edge of my seat for a moment there. I might be kind of up in my feelings right now, so maybe I was a bit more affected by the third act of this film than most people will, but it was still just a really great film. It wraps up great. All in all, just such a nice, wonderful little story, and it is definitely something that needs to find its way into your playlist on Netflix. This film is available right now, and I highly recommend checking this movie out if you are a fan of great storytelling and absolutely beautiful animation. Well, that's all I have for you today, guys. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.